Today on the Chad Slagle Show, coaching you to and through retirement.
We are going to discuss how the retirement landscape has changed today and how retirement is different now than it was for your parents and grandparents.
And on our Coach's Corner, we're going to discuss the 5 retirement misconceptions that you need to be aware of.
And on our Chalk Talk segment today, we're going to show you how to conquer the 5 retirement misconceptions so that you are on the right path to get you successfully to and through retirement.
So sit back, relax, and learn. The Chad Slagle Show starts now.
I'm Chad Slagle. I believe financial planning is about educating people and empowering them to make better decisions with their hard-earned dollars. Coaching gives me satisfaction from watching a player succeed and get better. You need an experienced team around you. The best coaches have great assistant coaches. I have brought a lot of the techniques and structure I learned from playing and coaching football and apply them to the world of investing. My goal now is to coach as many individuals and families as I can on how to get successfully to and through retirement.
Welcome into the Chad Slagle Show, coaching you to and through retirement. I'm Wendy Erickson here with the coach, Chad Slagle. Today on the Clipboard segment, we're going to discuss how the retirement landscape has changed today and how retirement is different now than it was for your parents and your grandparents.
That's right, Winnie. When it comes to retirement today, many people think what was true for their grandparents and parents still holds true today. You may have seen a parent retire and collect a pension and Social Security for 15, 20, 25 years and think this will also work for your retirement. Or I think about my wife's grandparents who lived through the Depression era. Her grandfather was a World War II veteran, built his own house out of cinder blocks because when he came back from the war, wood was in short supply. And despite having ample savings and a really good retirement, they chose to live their life without ever really enjoying a penny of what they scrimped and saved for. But a lot of you who are retired or getting ready to retire in the next 5 years, if you continue to live in the past, you could be making some huge mistakes that could cost you in your long-term security as well.
You know, both of my parents worked, my grandparents that is, worked for the telephone company, good old Illinois Bell back in the day. Both of them did for decades, for as long as I can remember. And we used to see them a lot on the weekends, and then suddenly we were seeing them during the weekdays, and I didn't understand. And my grandfather was the first one to explain to me the concept of retirement. We're retired now, and that means we can have more fun. We have more free time and pension. They both had their pension. So I don't know if I really got it. All I knew was just a lot more fun to have them.
He didn't have to go
available.
to work, and he still got that paycheck right. Each and every month.
Yeah.
That's right.
Very different.
And many people also, when they get to retirement, Wendy, many people don't change the way that they think or change the way that they should be investing as they get closer to retirement. You know, the same vehicles and mindset that got you to retirement, if you continue to keep that in retirement, that could be the same thing that blows you up in retirement. So today, we want to discuss the 5 retirement misconceptions or myths that you need to be aware of and make sure that you don't fall into a lot of these traps. Unfortunately, that we find each and every day in our practice, a lot of retirees falling into these traps and these misconceptions that were true 15, 20 years ago, and we're in a completely different economic environment now than we were 10, 15, 20 years ago.
Yeah, I feel like the grandchildren that I'm going to have someday will certainly not know what a pension is, because
a pension or even Social Security, right?
Right. Well, I hope not. Right, exactly. So things are changing.
They are.
All right. Well, when we return on the Coach's Corner, we are going to discuss 5 retirement misconceptions that you need to be aware of. We'll be right back.
The number one concern of retirees today is outliving their hard-earned dollars. It is more important now than ever to educate and empower yourself to make better decisions with your monies that it has taken you 30 to 40 years to accumulate. How do you do this? By using our Financial GPS, our guided planning system. This is a 4-step process to help get you successfully to and through retirement. The first step in this process is to create clarity. Here we will help identify your goals as well as your concerns and identify what you want to accomplish in retirement. The second step, we will analyze the risk you're taking with your current portfolio, and this step will also identify exactly what you are paying in fees. In the third step, we will evaluate and assess your current plan and help identify the gap between the missing pieces. And in the fourth and final step, this is where we will work together to implement a plan of action to accomplish your retirement goals. And this process can take place at any one of our convenient locations in Missouri and in Illinois. So call now to get set up on that right path on your journey through retirement.
Are you retired or wanting to know if you can retire in the next 5 to 10 years? If so, then this class is designed for you. Reserve your seat now for Empower University, an educational course for pre-retirees and retirees, hosted by Chad Slagle and his team of investment advisors. Call 844-608-1872.
Welcome back to the Chad Slagle Show, coaching you to and through retirement. We are back with the coach, Chad Slagle, and his colleague, Chad Tobin. And today on the Coach's Corner, we're going to discuss the 5 retirement misconceptions that you need to be aware of.
That's right, Wendy. There are many misconceptions or myths in every aspect of our lives. And we see it a lot when it comes to retirement and retirement planning. As we mentioned earlier, the retirement landscape has completely changed. It is much different today than it was 10 or even 20 years ago. And the way you're going to plan and prepare for retirement is going to be completely different than it was for your parents and grandparents. And the problem we see with many pre-retirees and retirees today is that they do not change the way they think or invest when they get closer to retirement. And unfortunately, a lot of you and a lot of retirees and pre-retirees we meet with believe in many misconceptions or myths about retirement that they do not fully understand. So today, we want to go over some of those misconceptions, and later on, we're going to show you how to conquer each one of these misconceptions.
Well, and I think, Chad, one thing as when we were real young as kids, we were always taught to save so our money can grow. And a lot of times what we see is, retirees continue to save their money for growth. And I think this is a misconception we're going to talk about is we have to understand as we enter different phases of life, we have to make some changes as well.
All right, well, as a pre-retiree myself, I'm pretty sure I have some of these misconceptions. So let's just jump in and discuss the very first one.
The first one is the 4% rule. Known as the 4% rule or 4% withdrawal rule, this is a rule of thumb that determines how much a retiree can safely afford to withdraw from their nest egg every year. However, sticking strictly to this measure can leave retirees with a significant shortfall if the market drops significantly or if inflation stirs. And I think the biggest thing here, Chad, these rules, these 4% rules or even 5% rule, these only go on what the market and what the economy has done in the past, not where we're going in the future. And we're in a completely different economic environment in the future than we were 5, 10, 15 years ago.
Yeah, and a lot of these, the old rules, you're going back 20, 30 years of data that, things in the past, as Chad just mentioned, some of the things looking forward, maybe the growth rate and isn't expected to be the 6 to 8% like some of the 10-year periods of the past. From 2000 to 2010, we had what they called that lost decade. Who's to say we don't have another one of those in the future? So, we have to understand, yes, the data in the past is good to look back at, but we've got to make decisions moving forward with some of these unknowns that are out there.
All right, so don't always think that the 4% rule is
correct.
100%. 4%, 100%. Okay.
Not 100%.
That's right. What about the second misconception?
The second is you will spend less. One thing that we hear from our clients all the time is that how much money do we need? Or do I have enough to retire? Will I have enough income coming in? And the answer is we don't know. So a lot of people ask us, how much income will I need coming in when I retire? And there's an old rule of thumb, Wendy, that says you should have 70 to 80% of your pre-retirement income coming in when you retire. So what that means, if you're a married couple, and let's say you're bringing in $100,000 a year, when you retire, you should have $70,000 to $80,000 a year coming in. And if you do, you should be able to live comfortably throughout the rest of your life. I would tell you, after being in this business for over 25 years and dealing with our clients, who are happily and successfully retired, I totally disagree with that. I would say now a lot of people that we meet with on a daily basis need the same or more money coming in. Because if you think about it, Wendy, what day of the week, when we're working, what day of the week do you or do most people that are working spend money?
Saturday.
Saturday. And guess what, when you retire? Every day is Saturday. Monday through Friday, you get up in the morning, you have breakfast, you go to work, you come home, you eat dinner, you watch a couple TV shows, you get up and do it all over again. But come Saturday, you're going out and spending money. You're shopping, you're going to the movies, you're doing your hobbies, and it takes income to do that. So you have to understand when you retire, you have to think about lifestyle and what kind of income you have to have coming in.
Yeah, and I think to prove that point, most of our clients, I would say, when we're going and we're building that budget and we're looking at that income plan, we're not putting that income plan in place to get them 70-80% of that pre-retirement income. Most of the time, it is 90 to 100% of that income that they feel they're going to need to be able to do the things that they want to do, why they work so hard to retire. So I think it's important, every day is a Saturday, make sure retirement's like that.
And I guess also the senior citizen discount isn't as much as I
It's
maybe
not as
think
much,
it's-
that's right.
All right, the third misconception has to do with your tax rate.
Yeah, your tax rate, of course, everybody thinks, oh, when I retire, my tax rate's going to be lower. Well, people assume because they are no longer bringing in the same level of income, they won't be paying the same level of taxes, but they often forget that you will still owe taxes on that traditional IRA, those 401ks and other company plans, which whether you need that money or not, when you turn 7.5, you have to start drawing that money on. It's all taxable income.
And this is big, especially right now with maybe some of the proposed changes that they're looking at with these RMDs. And also in the future, in the next 5 or so years, tax rates are probably not going to go down, they're going to go up. So, a couple of these little things that may change in retirement could cause your actual tax rates to be higher in the future than what they are right now.
All right, what about the fourth misconception?
Pay off your mortgage before you retire. In other words, we always think our house has got to be paid off. And this notion of paying off your mortgage before retirement came from the Depression era back in the 30s. At that time, mortgages were callable and banks could foreclose on absent prompt payment. Interest rates were a lot higher. Of course, now interest rates are at all-time low. A lot of times, if you're still working or have income coming in, you can use what you pay on your home, some of the interest you pay on your home as a write-off on your taxes. So that's not necessarily the case because unfortunately, we see a lot of people go in and they draw from their 401ks and they draw from their retirement accounts that are set up to last throughout the rest of their life, and they try to pay off their mortgage, and that may not be a good option.
Well, and I think we always talk about, getting rid of your bad debt. That's absolutely 100% true. Get rid of that bad debt, but carrying maybe a low interest rate mortgage into retirement that fits in that budget may not be a bad debt to bring in.
All right, the last misconception has to do with divorce.
Yes, divorce will not impact your retirement. Most people think when that they won't get a divorce when they are 60 or 70 years of age, but this is not true for a growing number of people. The boomers are the first generation of people acting on divorce at a later age, and their parents and grandparents, of course, you didn't go through this. You made it through everything. Of course, sometimes we get used to having those kids in the house. All of a sudden, the kids are gone, and now we got to figure out how to live together again, and it doesn't always work. So you have to understand that is something that's going on out there, and how does that affect you?
This is it's a tough topic, but yeah, you don't really foresee going through a divorce when you are 60, 70 years of age, but we actually see it does happen. So maybe looking at combined assets together as you're going through retirement, maybe also kind of understand what it would look like if it was different that way.
Some good things to think about. And to download our free white paper today about building a roadmap to retirement, visit schlegelfinancial.com/empower you. More good information there. Well, coming up on Chalk Talk, we are going to show you how to conquer the 5 retirement misconceptions so that you are on the right path to and through retirement.
Hey, let's go.
He's such an involved dad. He's always telling the kids stories. I remember when so-and-so said I couldn't do this or I didn't make this team.
Everybody in here.
That's what drives him. In our family, we always tell our kids to stick up for each other, stand behind one another. He feels it's his role to provide, keep us safe, and to make sure that the kids are taken care of. A lot of Chad's clients have the same traditional values, and he bonds with them. Each family has a different set of circumstances, and each family is unique and different. The common thread between all of Chad's clients is that they want the best for their family, just as he would our own family.
Welcome back into the Chad Slagle Show, coaching you to and through retirement. We just discussed the 5 retirement misconceptions that you need to be aware of. Now we want to show you how to conquer them so that you are on the right path to and through retirement.
Yeah, so now that we understand the 5 retirement misconceptions, we want to show you how to conquer or overcome them. And let's be clear, everyone out there has a completely different situation, so this will not be cookie cutter approach for everyone. Not everybody's going to look the same or do the same things. You have to take into consideration your risk tolerance, your income needs, as I mentioned earlier, your lifestyle goals, and make sure that you're working with a retirement specialist who can help you build a game plan that fits your specific needs and what you want to accomplish in retirement.
Well, I think it goes back to just being proactive. You know, if you don't have any kind of plan or any kind of game plan, it's going to be pretty tough going through retirement. So be proactive, and here's some things to help you be proactive to get that game plan in place.
All right, so the first one had to do with the 4% rule. How do we conquer that one?
Well, let's think about the 4% rule. So let me ask you this one. If I told you, or told all of you out there watching today, that you're going to get on an airplane, and that airplane has an 80% chance of landing safely, would you get on that plane?
Personally, me, no.
Probably not. And it doesn't seem like a good idea to do that. So you want to make sure that you have a plan that is 100%. If you live to be 75, 85, or 100 years of age, you know that money is going to last as long as you do. And that's when we talk about that 4% rule. It doesn't take into consideration the losses. It looks back the past 15 to 20 years. I mean, if you think about our economy today, our country today has over $20 trillion in debt. There's a lot of things going on right now that weren't going on 10, 15, 20 years ago, Chad.
Yeah, and I think, you know, looking back at the 4% rule, this was a rule, a good old rule of thumb that a lot of advisors, a lot of investors used. And from some of the past data that maybe would work and did work in the past, but there's also some data that proves that the 4% rule alone is kind of what you mentioned, Chad. You know, an 80% chance that's going to get you safely where you want to go. So I think that's important.
And
to know.
Chad, you talk about it all the time. You talk about the maybe income plan versus the, I wouldn't say guaranteed, but knowing that that income is going to last throughout the rest of your life, no matter how long you live. And we talk about that 4% withdrawal rule. That's really what we're looking at. How long will my money last? Will it last throughout the rest of my life? And you don't want a maybe plan. You want a guaranteed plan that you know it's going to last.
Absolutely.
All right, we need to move on to the second misconception was you will spend less in retirement.
And as I
Not true.
mentioned earlier, you might, but I would say 80 to 90% of our clients, people who are retired and have been retired for a while, they need the same or more money coming in. Understand when you retire, every day is Saturday. It's no longer the norm to sit on your rocking chair and get old. You know, you want to be out doing things, you want to be enjoying life, and you should. You worked all your life to get to this point. There's no reason to sit on that money, spend it. You cannot take it with you.
Well, and very simply create a budget. You know, this is something that you shouldn't overlook. And we see a lot of people, a lot of retirees coming in, they've never had to create a budget. They've never really had to live off a budget because they had more money coming in than was really going out. So don't guess with this. Make sure you build that budget so you know exactly how much you need and how long that money is going to last.
And another variable that's increasing all the time, Wendy, is the medical expenses you have to take into consideration as well.
Very important. How do you conquer the third misconception, which had to do with your tax rate will be lower?
Yeah, you plain and simple, do not assume your tax rate will be lower in retirement. Again, taxes may go up, so you have to take that into consideration. Also, you want to make sure you're working with an advisor that can offer you tax-favored vehicles and strategies, and make sure your advisor and your CPA or your tax planner are working together to accomplish the goals, and make sure that they're on the same page.
Yeah, and I think, you know, one thing that we're talking about a lot with clients is maybe doing some conversions. Right now, while taxes may be a little bit lower, but we're looking at in the future where tax rates could be higher, also with the changing laws with the required minimum distribution. So working with a specialist to kind of have those conversations, what you can do now to maybe lessen those taxes in the future.
All right, you told us that paying off your mortgage before you retire, that's a misconception.
It's a misconception. It's not a don't do. It's just the problem we see here is people are taking big chunks out of their 401ks and retirement plans to pay off their mortgage before they retire because they assume that it needs to be paid off before they retire. Obviously, it is nice to have your mortgage paid off before you retire, but it is not a must-do. You can plan for a mortgage payment each and every month, and if you're paying 3 to 4% on your mortgage and you're making 6 to 8% over here, that's 2 to 3 2 to 3% more in your pocket as opposed to paying that off. So there's some do's and don'ts. It's not a do not do. You just have to educate yourself on that, Chad.
Yeah, and educate yourself on the low interest rate environment we have now. And if you're out there with maybe a variable or some higher rate, take advantage of some of those lower rates moving into retirement so you can lock that in and have that in your game plan.
All right, and how do we conquer the last misconception?
Well, we talk about divorce. First off, we are not trying to scare you and make you think you cannot get divorced or else it will completely run your retirement. But if it does happen, you have to make sure you have a plan set up for you. That is why we suggest both the husband and wife come to appointments when we meet with them and they're both involved. And understand, if you're used to living off of both incomes and all of a sudden you are divorced, take into consideration you are only going to have that one income, assets are going to be split. So you really, again, as Chad mentioned, you just have to build your game plan for that.
All right. Well, to download our free white paper today about building a roadmap to retirement, visit slagelfinancial.com/empoweryou. And when we come back on our strategy play, the Chads are going to show you why you may not want to rely on the old 4% rule.
The number one concern of retirees today is outliving their hard-earned dollars. It is more important now than ever to educate and empower yourself to make better decisions with your money that it has taken you 30 to 40 years to accumulate. How do you do this? By using our Financial GPS, our guided planning system. This is a 4-step process to help get you successfully to and through retirement. The first step in this process is to create clarity. Here we will help identify your goals as well as your concerns and identify what you want to accomplish in retirement. The second step, we will analyze the risk you're taking with your current portfolio, and this step will also identify exactly what you are paying in fees. In the third step, we will evaluate and assess your current plan and help identify the gap between the missing pieces. And in the fourth and final step, this is where we will work together to implement a plan of action to accomplish your retirement goals. And this process can take place at any one of our convenient locations in Missouri and in Illinois. So call now to get set up on that right path on your journey through retirement.
Are you retired or wanting to know if you can retire in the next 5 to 10 years? If so, then this class is designed for you. Reserve your seat now for Empower University, an educational course for pre-retirees and retirees, hosted by Chad Slagle and his team of investment advisors. Call 844-608-1872.
Welcome back to the Chad Slagle Show, coaching you to and through retirement. On this week's strategy play, we're going to show you why you may not want to rely on that old 4% rule. So if we take a look here, we talk about what is your income strategy, and what we find with more and more retirees today, Chad, is they need that 401k or that retirement accounts to live off of when they do retire. The problem is what we find with a lot of retirees today, they have one strategy, which is focusing only on the growth of your money, and that's good when you're 20, 30, 40, 50 years of age, but as you get closer to retirement, you have to change the way that you think when it comes to your hard-earned dollars. And what I mean by that is you have your safe money and you have your risk money. We think our 20s, 30s, and 40s, it's all about growth, so 100% of our money is at risk. But if you have 100% of your money at risk and you need to draw 4% out, so you need $40,000 a year to live off of, Chad, that's we talk about the problem there is if you lose 20% in the market, now you don't need to draw 4, now you need to draw 5, and it doesn't take into consideration inflation and cost of living. Yeah,
and I think, just understanding in retirement, we've got to know some of these unknowns. As you mentioned, market volatility. We know it goes up. We know the markets go down. We're in an interest rate environment that as interest rates go up, a lot of times you're protecting money in the market with bonds and bond funds. Well, that's going to have a negative impact on that. Your income needs, just due to inflation and cost of living, is probably going to be more in retirement, and also some rising healthcare costs.
So what you want to do with that strategy, you want to change from the focused growth, and you want to get more of a balanced approach when you get 5 years out or when you do retire. So you want to take that $1 million, you want to separate it into two different buckets, the secure bucket and the growth bucket. And the bucket over here, it's about being safe, holding on to what you have, making sure you have an income stream you can never outlive, and of course take care of those rising healthcare costs. Now, of course, the money we're leaving over here, it's here to grow. It's there to keep up with the rate of inflation and cost of living. We want to make sure that we're investing in good, solid dividend-paying companies that are paying that 4, 5, 6% so we can keep up with inflation. Do you need help creating an income stream that will last throughout your life, no matter how long you live? Or do you have questions about the 5 retirement misconceptions that we discussed here today? If so, we encourage you to give us a call, and that's this week's Strategy Play.
If you have any questions about today's show, or if you'd like for us to discuss a new topic, email us at askchad@slagelfinancial.com to have your questions answered on the show. And we'll be right back with some of the key takeaways from today.
Your host and coach, Chad Slagle, and joining
I'll be with you guys in just a few minutes.
When it comes to your health, your life, your family, your home, and your hard-earned dollars, of course you want to make sure you're working with that sharp, energetic, knowledgeable individual that is always looking out for your best interest.
Such short notice, appreciate it. Thanks.
It's time to get your financial house in order. This is the new age of retirement planning. In the Wall Street world, that's what they talk about. You got to have
Back into the Chad Slagle Show, coaching you to and through
We
retirement.
are Slagle Financial. Call now, 888-294-9248.
Welcome back to the Chad Slagle Show, coaching you to and through retirement. We've covered a lot of ground today. What would you say are some of the key takeaways, Chad?
First of all, understand how the retirement landscape has changed today. You know, this is not your grandparents' retirement. Know the 5 retirement misconceptions and how to conquer them. And number 3, understand when you retire, every day is Saturday. You know, when you get to retirement, it's not the beginning of the end. It is a new beginning. You can't take this money with you. Have fun with it and enjoy the rest of your life.
One last reminder to download our free white paper today about building a roadmap to retirement. Visit slagelfinancial.com/empoweryou. And Slagle Financial and their team of advisors have educational events coming up in your area to make sure you are prepared for today's retirement. For more information and to sign up for one of these events, call 888-294-9248 or visit chadslagleshow.com.
Remember, folks, success is waking up in the morning, whoever you are, wherever you are, no matter how old or young you are, and bounding out of bed because there's something out there that you love to do, that you believe in, that you're good at, and you can hardly wait to get at it again today. At Slagle Financial, realize that this is bigger than our team. It's about educating you, the public, and our wonderful clients, and empowering you to make better decisions with your hard-earned dollars. For my colleague Chad Tobin, my co-host Wendy Erickson, this is the coach, Chad Slagle. Thank you very much for joining us. We look forward to visiting with each and every one of you next week.
Clothing for the Chad Slagle Show is provided by AL Custom Clothiers, a custom men's clothier that understands the value of offering our customers the best for less. ALCustomClothiers.com or 314-570-6000.